All three powers are now into the mix in the women's team final at the Putra Stadium. Canada working on its second apparatus, the uneven bars. Here's Emily Fournier.
And Scott, she has intricate pirouette work, and she has two tricks in her routine named after a former Canadian national team member, Koyuki Oka. There's the Oka, and she does it right into a big release move. Ginger, and she's got it. I'm impressed with how Fournier is actually handling this competition. Without personal coaches, she struggled a little bit in training, but it doesn't matter what you would do in training. Competition is where it counts.
Out of the Gymnastics Club in Montreal, Emily Fournier was solid on the vault for Canada. Here's another look at her bars.
She was telling me how much she's been struggling, but there's no evidence of it here. Airtime to spare on that Ginger release move that will impress the judges.
Canada got a good start to the competition on the vault. There's her teammate Lise Leveillé, Katie Rowland. 9-1-6-2 for Emily Fournier, so she's 2 for 2 so far in this team final for Canada. One of the young Australian gymnasts, Trudy McIntosh, 14 years old, to the vault.
And Scott, you're looking at Australia's future. This kid is dynamite.
Her first vault was a 9-1-6-2. Now a second. They will average the score for a total.
Very few people in the world can do this vault. It's a front, in the layout position, completely a blind landing. She knows exactly where the floor is.
Said the best moment of her life was when she was selected to the Commonwealth Games team. It came very late.
And who can blame her? What a moment. Watch, bumps it way up. Not tuck, not pike. That is pure layout.
Coached by Mark Carlton, who is on the Australian coaching staff here in KL. Now back to the uneven bars and Veronique Leclerc.
And you know, Scott, she has to have a heavy heart right now. She had all her hopes on a gold medal on vault. That possibility has been dashed. Fantastic. Shabashnikova, she is swinging well right now. To be honest, Canada really needed Veronique's vault score, and she knows that. But discipline is the name of the game in this sport, and she's showing a lot of it right now. Swinging well. Michelle Charon steps in for the release move. Looking good, winding up. She's got a double layout. There it is. Good for her.
Big recovery by the 17-year-old from Granby, Quebec.
Huge release move. Has to swing back, reach for that bar. Two bars are so far apart now, Scott. They're out to 150 centimeters, so you've really got to fly to catch it.
9-5-6-2 for Veronique Leclerc of Canada. The second fault for Trudy McIntosh, 9-1-6-2. She averages out at the same 9-1-6-2. Here's her teammate, Zina McLaughlin, second all-around at the Pacific Alliance Championships in Winnipeg, Manitoba, a rising star.
And a lot is expected from her. Talk about a psychological test. She's the leader of this team, and she's expected to win, and boy, she looks like she's right on the mark. Yurchenko layout 1.5. Fantastic start value of 9.8, so you know it's valuable. Bumps it up 1.5. Can't see the floor. Pure anticipation.
This year's Australian national champion, Zina McLaughlin. Here's a young Canadian 15-year-old Crystal Gilmore from Cambridge, Ontario, competes under the direction of national team coach Elvira Sadi.
And talk about talent plus. Crystal's got every trick in the book planned. Fantastic Jaeger. Struggles a little bit with execution. That's due to lack of experience. Needs to tighten everything up a little bit. But she's way ahead of the game when it comes to pure trick power. Again, Michelle Charon will step in for safety. Giant full to Kachev. Oh, she absolutely had the bar. Just slips off at the bottom. And you know, Scott, again, that comes down to experience. She just needs a little bit more of it.
Right back up on the bars. She competed this year at the World Youth Games in Moscow.
And that was her first international trip. This is her second. Big dismount, double layout. Oh, and again, lack of experience. She just got caught up in that mat. She has to learn to take those landings and absorb the impact.
Zina McLaughlin of Australia was a 9.375 on the first vault, and here's the second.
Australia's hope for the gold medal in individual all-round. She, too, missed a hand, Scott, and had to completely change her vault. Remember, she did a 1.5 on the first vault. That was only a full. Watch her hands. Right hand slips off the horse completely, and she, too, is lucky to come down safely.
7.612, the second vault, average at 8.493, so the Australian Zina McLaughlin struggles there. Crystal Gilmore, 8.312. There was talent there, but a couple of mistakes from inexperience. All teams have completed at least one now. First scoring indication has England in the lead over Australia and Canada. England enjoying an early lead over Australia in the women's team final. Here's another one of the young Aussies, 14-year-old Alana Slater.
Peggy Liddick has really increased the skill level on every event for every athlete. They're pushing for all the big tricks, and that was a beauty. Jaeger, but look, Scott, she's taking an extra swing before her pack salto. That will cost her 3/10. Alana has a lot of talent. And this is a good event for her. Beautiful hop giant full. Got a little caught on the after swing. Hop right to a ginger. There's so much packed into this routine, but like Crystal Gilmore, I think she's struggling with the amount of content. Getting ready for a dismount. Full twisting. Oh, it's too short, Scott. She needs to hold on longer, ride it up in the air, and get that valuable air time to be able to fit it all in.
Again, gymnastics when she was only 18 months old. A late addition at the national trials to this Australian team.
You can see right here, she's got to hold on a lot longer than that to get up in the air. She's trying to do 2 flips with a full twist. All right.
There she is with national coach Peggy Liddick, the former coach of Shannon Miller, the world champion. Now to Crystal Gilmore of Canada, the balance beam.
Off to a great start. You know she's going to be disappointed after bars. And this is no event to be dealing with frustration or disappointment. Back handspring, full twist. Look at that. Very few athletes in the entire world do that, and she's already doing it at such a young age. Switch split, right into a straddle jump, straddle 3/4 Shishanova. Showing good composition, Scott. You want the big tricks, but you also need those beautiful jumps. Looking very poised, a lot of confidence. Remember, this event is physical, technical, and psychological. Oh, needed to pull that to a finished position. It actually didn't look that crooked.
So she's off the beam. That will be a major deduction for Crystal Gilmore. Canada is actually working one apparatus ahead of the Australians and the English. This is the 3rd event in this team final for the Canadians.
And Canada needs every score desperately. And that fall is going to hurt. Now, it's not that she can't do these skills, Scott, but right now her program is probably a little bigger than she can handle under pressure. Round off back handspring, 2.5, still fighting right to the end.
She's the pride of the Cambridge Kips and a key member for Team Canada here in Kuala Lumpur. There's her coach, Elvira Sadi.
And it all comes down to experience, but this is a huge dismount. Combination tumbling, so tough to do. Round up back handspring, she has to keep it straight. Right to the 2.5, blind landing. Here's her back handspring tucked full. She's way up above camera level. You can see how narrow that target has to be. She's aiming for every landing.
8.925 for Crystal Gilmore of Canada after the fall off the beam. Now to Annika Reeder of England. 2 vaults for this English veteran.
And she's a powerhouse. likes this event, and she's good at it. Soup half front layout. That's the Phelps, named after American J.C. Phelps.
Annika Reeder came up with a brilliant floor exercise for England.
Now she is slightly piked in the air. Right here, she should be laid out, slight pike, but that's only a minor 0.1, 0.2.
9-3 the score on the first vault for Reeder. Now to the second, and remember, over these two vaults, they average the score for a total.
You know, Scott, confidence has to be up after a good performance on the first one, but you're right, they both count, so the pressure is still on.
Setting up, and the approach.
The speed is important here. You need a lot of it. She's dynamic, and that was a much better vault. Better position in the air, showed the judges a nice straight body layout.
She'll hope to better a 9-3. Let's go back to Canada and the balance beam and 16-year-old Lise Leveillé from Burnaby, BC. There is her coach in the audience.
Paid her own way to get here. That's Nancy Beyer. Paid her way to get here to see her athlete compete at the Commonwealth Games. Talk about dedication.
Lise's mom is also in the audience, and Lise has not seen her in 3 weeks.
Back handspring, layout, layout. I'll tell you what she's seen a lot of, and that's that balance beam. Lise is a balance beam specialist. Rock solid, and that's what Canada has to depend on.
Came up with a great result for Canada at the Pacific Alliance Championships in Winnipeg this July. She was 5th in a great field.
While making her mark, Scott, Canada needs beam workers, and look at this. Punch front with a jump before and after. Every time you do combination work, the judges reward you with bonus points. And Lise is trying to get every 10th for Canada. Right now, she's making it look deceivingly easy. And that's her strength. Make it look easy. Make it solid. Now, this is a critical point, Scott. She knows she has a great routine, but the dismount is dangerous if you're not focused. Round off. Double back, she is right on. That is one mentally tough competitor. Her mother's going crazy.
Yeah, there's her mom all the way from Burnaby.
Sitting in the stands is more nerve-wracking than being on the beam sometimes. You can see Lise is heavily taped in the ankles. A lot of long hours of training go into perfection like that. But this was spectacular. Back handspring, layout, layout. She sees the beam really clearly. Her coaches have done a fantastic job. Lise has done a great job for Canada. We need that score.
Playing a specialized role and doing it well. 9-3-5 for Lise Leveillé brings tears to her mom's eyes, and that's just a great sight here at the arena in KL for Canada. Annika Reeder, second vault, 9-3-6-2 to average at 9-3-3-1, so the English veteran rock solid for her team. Zina McLaughlin, a bad second vault for Australia. She has a chance to make up for that on the uneven bars.
A lot of pressure on her shoulders, but this is her event. Australia has truly international routines with moves like that. Pike Jaeger. The judges love those high-flying release moves. The amplitude of her swing is just excellent. That means she's always stretched. She's always straight. Beautiful double front half out. Now that's a dismount.
Well, Zina McLaughlin is big news in Australia. Clearly the experienced member of this young, up-and-coming team.
Pike Jaeger, excellent execution. The judges are going to have to really work hard to find a deduction. Very clean work. And Peggy Liddick likes it. She's going to keep pushing her after that weak vault performance. She's come through on bars.
Don't you love that score? 9-5-5-0. All teams have been to 2 events. England clings to the lead over Australia. Canada running a close third, and they're on their way to the floor exercise.